Good evening, everybody. My name is Steve Knutson, and I'm with Fairfax County's Department of Transportation, and I want to welcome you to this meeting tonight to discuss the traffic calming plan for Dana Avenue. We can begin with introductions, and tonight from FCDOT, we have Banaz Rauf and Nicole Machakwa. And if there are any of the community task force members that are logged on to tonight's meeting, they can go ahead and identify themselves if they feel they would like to during the Q&A that will follow a short presentation that we have. So I believe Banaza is going to go through some slides for everybody. And Banaz, if you're ready, you can go ahead and start the presentation.
Sure. Thank you, Steve. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting, and thank you all for joining us. Tonight, we're going to explain the traffic calming process for Dana Avenue. First, I will go over a couple of items before I begin. Please note that the session is being recorded and may be shared on social media. Please hold all your questions until the end of the presentation, and the instruction for how to ask your questions will be provided after the presentation. Today, we are here to explain the traffic calming process, provide an opportunity for community feedback, and answering any questions you all may have. So in general, traffic calming is the installation of physical devices to reduce vehicle speed. These devices can be either vertical or horizontal. Vertical devices are driven over, such as speed hum showing on top left of the screen, while you drive around horizontal devices, such as raised median islands, showing on the right, top right of the screen. Both types of devices make the road safer for both drivers and pedestrians. And I do want you to know that through this process, we're not permitted to install stop signs. Here we have charts and images showing the effects of decreased speed. So as speed decreases, visual acuity, field of vision, and depth perception increase. Also, with reduced speed, we come to significant reduction in the number and severity of crashes involving motor vehicles. So if you look at the slide here, we have the map of traffic calming projects throughout the county. There are over 270 projects resulting in more than 500 devices countywide. Every district has devices, and chances that you have driven over one is pretty high. The upcoming program can be broken up to 5 steps. Step 1 is project initiation. Step 2, plan development. Step 3, community engagement. Step 4, ballot phase, and step 5, which is the final step, is project installation, and I'll go over each one step by step. So project initiation, all traffic calming projects are always community initiating. So the process begins with a request from the community to the supervisor's office. Once the request received, we will first complete a basic eligibility review. Next, we will conduct the traffic study. And once it passes both the eligibility and traffic study, the community will then form a task force. There are eligibility requirements that need to be met, and there needs to be VDOT maintained road, have 25 mile per hour speed limit, be functionally classified as local, collector, or arterial, and if it is collector or arterial, it needs to be residential street. There is also traffic study components. Here we have the traffic study results for Dana Avenue. For the volume criteria, we need between 500 to 6,000 vehicles in 24 hours, both directions combined. For this project, we had 953, so we met the volume criteria. And for speed criteria, the 85th percentile of speed needs to be greater than or equal to 35 miles per hour. This means that 15% of vehicles need to be traveling at 35 mile or faster in at least one direction of travel. So the speed that we found was 35 mile per hour on northbound and 37 on southbound, which means that we met the speed criteria as well. So step 2 is plan development. We will conduct a site visit in the field in order to develop a draft plan. Once we have the draft plan, we will meet with the task force to get feedback and then amend the plan if necessary. Once the task force is satisfied with the draft plan, homeowners directly adjacent to any proposed measures will need to sign off the placement of the device in order to move on to the next step. So here we have device placement requirements. Based on the guideline, we need minimum 300 feet between measures and from existing step conditions. We need minimum of 150 feet from an intersection, minimum 150 feet for adequate sight distance with any device, and it has to be fit on the existing roadway. So we have to take into account any driveways, manholes, utilities, and also we count for the grade of the road. So based on available options and site visit, we are able to propose a plan. For Dana Avenue, as seen in this device map, we are able to propose 3 locations that can have a speed hump, and the adjacent addresses are listed in blue boxes. And as I mentioned earlier, these addresses will need to obtain sign off by the homeowners since the proposed devices are adjacent to their homes. Here we have a graphic of speed hump. So it's going to be 12 feet long and 3 inches in center. And in addition to speed hump, there will be a speed hump sign and a recommended 15-mile-per-hour sign on each side. Also, there will be a white chevrons. There will be white chevrons on each traveling lane as well. Step 3 is a community meeting, which is where we are here tonight. This is where we present the plan for the community to obtain feedback. Based on the feedback, the task force will decide whether to amend the plan or proceed to the next phase. If the task force decide to move forward, we can move forward to the ballot phase. So in ballot phase, each household in the ballot area will receive 1 vote. If it will need to send it directly to the district supervisor's office. The ballot period will be open for a minimum of 3 weeks, and supervisor's office will tally the votes and notify the task force of the results. So here you can see the ballot, and the devices will be mentioned in the ballot. And the task force is responsible to distribute ballot packages to the homes that are in the ballot area. How to return the ballots. There will be 3 ways to return your ballots. You can mail the ballots or hand deliver to the supervisor's office, or you can email to the supervisor's office. Please note that you cannot return the ballot to the task force, but it should be directly sent to the district supervisor's office. Here we have the ballot area map for Dana Avenue. There are 65 ballots, and in order for the proposed plan to move forward, we will need greater than 50% of all households to vote in favor. So we will need 33 votes, yes votes actually, to move forward to the next step. And if we get the required number of yes votes, we can move on step 5, project installation, which is the final step. So traffic calming plan will be presented to the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors for endorsements, and then the resolution will be sent to VDOT. FCDOT will work with the Department of Public Works and Environmental Services to schedule installation. And finally, the traffic measures on the plan will be installed. So here is end of the presentation. We're going to move on to the question answer session. You have 2 options. You can chat or speak. Once the chat item is activated on Teams, you can use it by typing your question. And if you want to speak, click on raise your hand icon and you'll be unmuted once it's your turn. And if you're on the phone, please push *5 to raise your hand. When it's your turn, the host will call on you to ask your questions. you need to push *6 to unmute, and after you're finished, please push *5 to unraise your hand. Thank you so much for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Banaz. We'll give time for people to write their questions and or find the hand to raise. Okay, we have nothing coming in just yet, so we'll give a couple more minutes. Oh, here we go. Okay, Pradeep asks, can we get a copy of the presentation slides?
Yes, I do believe they've been emailed to the supervisor's office, and you can put in a request to that office asking for a copy of the slides that we're showing tonight. I do believe that Aaron Campbell would be the person that you would want to contact at the Franconia District office.
Okay, and we have a phone number call in. I'm going to head and area code 301. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Okay, you should be unmuted.
Yes, hi, my name is Leo, and I live on Dana Avenue. And I can recall hearing that there were going to be on Dana Avenue 3 devices installed on the road, and that that will be adjacent to 3 of the homes. Will I be able to get a copy of the map of to see if one of the devices will be adjacent from my home?
Yeah, so like we said, the map for the device locations is part of the presentation. So if you contact Aaron Campbell at the Franconia office, he will be able to send that presentation to you, which will have a map included that shows the device locations. We can read off the addresses where the device is located if you would like. I see that you're on the phone and you probably can't see what's being displayed. I'm assuming that's correct.
That is correct. That would be helpful if you don't mind just reading off the 3 addresses.
Okay. So the device furthest to the north is adjacent to 6208 and 6209 Dana Avenue. The one in the middle is adjacent to 6227, 6300, and 6301 Dana Avenue. And the one furthest to the south is adjacent to 6311, 6312, and 6313 Dana Avenue.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. And I do believe that Aaron Campbell is out of the office right now. He is the point of contact that you would want to reach out and ask for a copy of this presentation. I do believe he'll be back in the office on May 10th.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and we have a written-in question here from Kathleen. Was 35 miles per hour the average speed detected? It seems that the speed is often much higher.
It was actually the 85th percentile speed. So that means that in the northbound direction, 15% of the people traveling in that direction were traveling at or above 35 miles an hour. In the southbound direction, 15% of the traffic was traveling at or above 37 miles an hour.
Okay, thank you, Steve. We also have Darren that has a hand raised. Darren, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Hey, Darren. Should have sent you a request to unmute your mic. Okay, I don't know if it went through, so I will try it once more. So Darren Chung, I'll go ahead and try it one more time. Okay. So you should be able to unmute yourself now. So go ahead and speak.
Okay, it looks like it might take him a minute. If we want to go back to him, Nicole,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can.
definitely. Mhm.
If you want to move on to Krishna.
Yeah, okay. Krishna, I'm going to ahead. You have your hand raised. I'll go ahead and allow you to use your mic.
Yeah, hi. So my name is Krishna. So I am one of the task force committee for this. Just wanted to let the gentleman who asked the question earlier about the location of the humps. I just want to let him know that people who are going to have the humps in front of them had to sign that they are okay with this hump. So if he was one of the persons who had signed, that means he knows where the hump is. Otherwise, the people who is going to get the hump in front of them has already signed off that they are in agreement.
All right, thank you, Krishna, for pointing that out. I would also like to mention we have put white markings down on the roadway, which are basically arrows that kind of point at each other. We're at the device locations, and they'll have like an SH written in between the arrows that indicate the area where we are proposing the devices to go. Now, it has been a couple of months since that those markings were placed on the roadway. They might be worn away now, but if they are not, you can still go out on the road and take a look to see and get a better idea of where those devices are.
The one question I had was after the ballot phase, how long does it take to have these humps installed?
Well, it will take a few more months. It would, if the task force decides to go ahead and go through the ballot process, that will probably take, anywhere from, 4 to 7 weeks to complete. Then it'll probably take us, a couple of, 4 to 7 more weeks to get a board item to the Board of Supervisors. And then we would need to be able to get on a schedule with the contractor for the installation. So, we could be, still a good 15 weeks out from having the devices put in place.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Kirsten. Okay, Darren, if you want, okay, so Darren has written in, I'll ask my question here since my computer isn't cooperating. To clarify, all 65 residents on Dana will receive the ballot in the mail? ?
Okay, we can go back to the ballot map really quickly, Banaz. And the shaded parcels are the addresses that are going to receive a ballot. We generally leave it up to the discretion of the task force because they'll have to disperse the ballots to all of these addresses, to the 65 addresses in the ballot area. They can choose to mail them out to the addresses, or they can hand deliver. So it might come in the mail, it might be handed to you at your door, or it might be left on in your front door. So there are different methods to the delivery.
Okay, thank you, Steve. All right, we have nothing in at the moment. If you do have your hand raised, and we did call upon you and answer your question, yet you do have another question, if you could lower your hand and re-raise it so I know it's a new question. Okay, and we have Pradeep asked, when can the task force pick up the ballot?
So if you wish to go ahead to the ballot process, we will send a template out to the supervisor's office and they'll forward it on to you. And you'll have to modify the ballot and a cover letter. So we'll have a couple of items that will be mailed out, and one would be the device map that shows the locations where the devices are proposed, the schematic that Benas showed earlier for the speed hump that's being proposed at the 3 locations, a cover letter that gives an explanation of the process to people that might not have been able to attend tonight, and then help them give that person directions on how they might want to vote, and then the ballot itself. So it's going to be a couple of pieces of paper. You will have to modify the ballot and the cover letter, send it back to the supervisor's office. The county will review your edits and give you the thumbs up. So, we can send them on. I do believe, like I said earlier, I think Aaron's out of town right now until I believe the 10th of April or May. And we can go ahead, if the task force wants, we can send those documents over to the supervisor's office after this meeting if you want to give us, that feedback tonight.
Thank you, Steve. And we have written in from Darren responding to his previous question. He says, great, thanks. And can residents respond via email?
Yes, so that is one of the methods that can be used to return that ballot. So it would be going to the supervisor's office. There'll be an email address on the ballot itself, and Benas has pulled up the different ways that the ballots can be returned. You can return them by mail, you can mail them back, or you can hand deliver them, you can mail them back, or you can email them.
Okay, and we have written in from Kathleen, if ballots are mailed, will we be notified in any way that they've been mailed to make sure we get it?
I've never really been asked this question. Obviously, if you don't receive a ballot in the next, couple of weeks, you can contact the supervisor's office and let them know, find out what the status is. But we really don't have the ability to just contact everybody in the ballot area once the ballots are dispersed. So I would say, in a couple of weeks' time, if you haven't received a ballot, you can reach out to the Franconia office and ask them the status of the ballot process for Dana.
Okay, and then we have written in here from Darren, will attaching a photo of a ballot in an email be acceptable way to cast the vote?
So yeah, you can scan that ballot or you can take a picture of it and email it in, and that should be sufficient.
Okay, and I do see, Darren, you have your hand raised, but I still see you typing. So I'm going to assume that you've already asked your questions via writing in the chat. Okay, we have nothing coming in at the moment. Okay. And Krishna, I see that you have your hand raised. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, Mike.
Yeah,
Okay.
so just letting everybody know in this meeting is that Aaron Campbell is actually very good in communicating back to us about what are the requirements. And if he gives the task force the option to hand deliver the ballot, we will approach everybody's house and hand deliver the ballot with the envelope.
Yes, the hand delivery should be an option available to the task force if chosen. So
Yeah.
that should be okay.
Yeah. So we are ready, sir, for the hump.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and send those ballot templates to the Franconia office. And like I said, I think, Aaron is going to be out of town until next week. He'll probably send them on to you as soon as he gets back in to the office, if that's okay.
Yeah, yeah. We normally will look at it, modify it, and send it back to Aaron for his approval.
Mhm.
And then once it's approved, we normally print it, and we actually go. We have about 6 members, so we go and hand deliver it to individual residents.
Okay. Now, I do want to say that, if you try to hand deliver and you're trying to talk to people and, they're not home, you do kind of need to leave that ballot at their door. And so everybody's kind of getting the ballots at the same time, if that makes sense. So if you go to one address and somebody answers and you give them their ballot and you talk to them about what, the ballot is, and then you go to another address and nobody answers, you kind of need to leave it on, their door handle or in their door frame, somehow leave it on their property.
Yeah,
Because we can't have different people receiving the ballots at different times. That might not be well received by the community.
sure, sure. Whatever the guidelines is, we will definitely follow it.
Okay. I think Kathleen's saying that she doesn't answer the door for people that she doesn't know. So they can leave it in your door at Kathleen. That's what we were just discussing. And so
Yeah.
just answered things, yes.
Or I can mail it to her.
Correct, and you could do both. So,
Yeah.
if you go out to hand deliver and you're not able to leave them at some places, then you can come back and mail those.
Sure.
That would be perfect.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Krishna. Okay, and we have nothing in at the moment. Feel free to write anything in the chat or raise your hand if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. Pradeep, right, sorry, I must have missed it. Is there a deadline for the ballots to get sent back?
Yes, there is. Banaz, if you want to pull up that sample ballot and maybe zoom in just a little bit on it. So basically, we will send a template of the ballot to the task force, and they'll try to determine the date that they're going to disperse the ballots. And then on the ballot, there'll be a return by date on there. So it's going to say that, this ballot must be returned to the supervisor's office by a certain date. I think we cut it off on the bottom of this one. So I guess it's not really helping too much on that sample, but it will be at the bottom of the ballot, and it should also be in the cover letter. Like we said earlier, we generally leave the ballot phase open for a minimum of 3 weeks. You can pick to have it open a little bit longer. That's fine. It could be open for 4 or 5 weeks, but there will be a hard deadline so that the supervisor's office knows when to, tally the results.
Okay.
And Banaz has just put up on the screen our contact info for FCDIT. After this meeting tonight, if you do have any further questions, you can email to us at dotinfo@fairfaxcounty.gov. Put in the subject line Dana Avenue and list your question in the body of the email. And that email will find its way to one of the three of us on tonight, and we will respond as soon as we have an answer for you. Or you can call 703-877-5600 and ask our receptionist to talk to somebody about the Dana Avenue traffic calming project. And they will forward your call to one of the three of us.
And also stated, but not stated at the beginning of this session, that it is being recorded. So it will be available shortly for those of you who have any community members that missed tonight's meeting and want to know what happened and more information on it. We can share that with the supervisor's office and hand it to the task force to distribute. Okay, Darren says this is helpful information and thank you very much. You're very welcome, Darren.
Well, we'll leave this open for a few more minutes and see if we receive any more questions. If not, we do wish you the best of luck in this process. Hopefully you'll be successful.
Okay, nothing has come in yet, Steve.
Okay, well, I believe that we have addressed the questions that have come on. And yeah, like we said, if you do have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to any of the staff members here after this meeting, and we will try to answer whatever questions you might have afterwards. So everybody have a good night, and thank you for attending.
Good night.
Good night.